And this is all stuff I've been talking about for a while now. This is November 5th for Avalanche or AVAX. We can see that large weekly fair value gap up here at $36 to $52. AVAX on November 5th right here was at $12. We had the 50 line mapped with an alert. Looking at AVAX today, we crossed the 50 line and just drew this mega impulse up to the open fair value gap right there, over 300%. Looking at the monthly time frame, we can also see we crossed the 50 line and we are running. And we can see Avalanche is also approaching the weekly pivot that is right within the open fair value gap. And all I want for 2024 is to see a variety of other assets in this space follow suit for a nice strong recovery. What's up guys, Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. Hope everyone's doing well and we are back. I know it's been just over a week since my last video on YouTube. We had the in-laws visiting, so we were showing them around the island. And thus far, it just looks like the market has been consolidating. So we have a bunch to dive into related to DApp risks, recent hacks, some crypto developments, and we'll just kick it off. Okay, first up, the Bitcoin price chart in the monthly time frame. So we have multiple cycles over the past 10 years, and these are the last two recent cycles where they took over 1,000 days for Bitcoin to break into new highs. A multi-year bear market as the RSI pierces 70 into overbought, this has always led to an all-time high price for Bitcoin. The question I have is when will Bitcoin create another all-time high price, and when will we see this monthly RSI piercing 70 into overbought? We are nowhere near a cycle top for the Bitcoin price chart. Whether you believe this is a retracement, we're going to crash back into reaccumulation, or like the 2016-2017 run-up, we're here into an all-time high. We are not in red or dark red, so we're nowhere near a cycle top. And this bull run index is aggregating 9 of some of the best indicators for Bitcoin, including the Pi cycle. And we're roughly 122 days away from the next Bitcoin halving on April 17th. Looking at the previous cycles taking 1,200 days, almost 1,100 days, even using the same length here, this would actually equate to 2024 for an all-time high. And I think over the next 6 months, we're going to find out if Bitcoin is going to an all-time high price like the 2016 cycle, or are we going to crash back down into reaccumulation before the all-time high. We have the crypto injective, the ticker is INJ. This is a perfect example of the power of monthly and weekly RSI when we cross the 50 line or the middle line. Yes, we're seeing some assets retrace a bit up here, but we are seeing some that have created a new all-time high price like INJ doing over a 20x, arguably over a 27x. This RSI on the monthly time frame, so one of the higher time frames crossing the middle line or the 50 line, getting into bullish territory is very bullish. We can see it continued, and once it pierced 70 into overbought, where momentum is at an all-time high, we went even higher into all-time high prices. Looking at injective on the weekly time frame, we're looking at the weekly RSI as well. We can see this 50 line or the middle line has been respected as a support and resistance level. So resistance right there. We got the pop, started testing 70, broke above, came all the way back down and did a perfect back test on the middle line yet again before going into overbought. We can see during the biggest impulses when assets are seeing those multi-100% moves is when we are in overbought where momentum is at a high. And historically, we see the largest moves for the altcoin market or the highest number of alts when Bitcoin is pushing into an all-time high price each cycle. Just like HBAR last cycle, Bitcoin got a 100% retracement and did over a 2x. Meanwhile, HBAR really trended sideways, doing nothing, pump dump for over 200 days. But as soon as we saw the Bitcoin price chart break into new all-time highs, taking out its 2017 all-time high or cycle top, we saw a variety of assets, altcoins have a much higher rate of return. So Bitcoin pushed into a new all-time high price. Roughly 3 weeks later, HBAR did over a 1,200% or over a 13x. And if you overlay charts on CoinTrader or TradingView, you're going to find the highest rate of return, or when alts pump the highest, is when Bitcoin is pushing into a new all-time high beginning the next cycle. And when looking at previous cycles, when Bitcoin is en route to an all-time high price, there are some alts that have a higher rate of return than Bitcoin. But historically, for the highest number of altcoins, they see the largest pumps when Bitcoin is pushing into new highs. So we know Injective got a lot more bullish as we crossed the 50 line or this middle line on the RSI on the monthly time frame, even more bullish when we pierced into overbought. And then also looking at the weekly, the same thing, above 50, still bullish territory, above 70, even more bullish for larger impulses as we can see. So before diving into news, let's dive into a few price charts and look at the monthly, maybe even the weekly RSI for some alts. We have Render crossing the 50 line, coming back down, back testing this level, and then getting that big move, and even from that level, breaking the 50 line on the monthly RSI, we can see over 278%. We have Rose on the monthly time frame, finally getting that cross over the 50 line, and what happened since this level was broken. We can see Rose has gone up about 140%. We have XLM doing this pump over the summer, but we can see we rejected the 50 line as resistance and came back down. If we curl back up, I expect a nice continuation. We have XRP right here above the 50 line, which is great to see. Remember last cycle, from the cycle low, we only got a retracement. This did over a 1600% from its cycle low. Big picture for the XRP price chart, if monthly RSI stays above the 50 line or middle line, I'm still bullish for upside. We have Ethereum crossing the 50 line right there, getting a nice continuation and moving up nicely. We have other alts like Energy Web or EWT still below the 50 line. We have the algo price chart waking up a bit, entering that first weekly fair value gap, which is great, and we can see we had a nice strong couple months, but the RSI is still well below 50. Algorand's monthly RSI is still below 40. In 2024, we have time to see this run up to even 50 for a nice continuation. In the Algorand monthly price chart, the monthly RSI has never seen overbought piercing 70. The previous cycle took us as high as about 63, even up here about 57. So we'll split the difference and just say right around 60. This still has plenty of room to run in the future. In Casper, CSPR's monthly RSI is even lower than Algo, around 35, encountering previous resistance. We still haven't seen a Casper price chart actually run. We've seen a variety of assets reach the 50 line and draw a nice retracement. We've seen others even cross, like Injective, into all-time highs. We have Cardano or ADA drawing a nice few months, as we can see in what happened. The RSI curls up, crosses 50. And over the last few months, we've seen ADA go from 24 cents to as high as 67, 68 cents. We even have Dogecoin. Look at last cycle. Once we cross the 50 line, we got that huge impulse. Keep in mind, this is when Bitcoin is pushing into all-time highs, so we saw that huge pump. And here's the monthly Doge chart using Binance, and we can see we are just starting to poke above the 50 line, right around, we'll say 51, just shy of 52. And even ZRX right here saw some volatility, 300% or a 4x from there. During this time, the monthly RSI has been curling up to the 50 line and now going sideways. We've already covered gold reaching an all-time high price. Remember last cycle, gold reached an all-time high, the highest price in history, and during this crash or retracement, this is when the crypto asset class took off. We'll see what silver does in 2024. The all-time high price is just shy of $50. We also have the Dow Jones at an all-time high price. And even looking back at previous cycles, we have TEL, an example of an asset, even on the weekly candle bodies, too. The weekly candle bodies over a 300x, arguably much higher wick to wick. Look how oversold the monthly RSI was for years. The monthly RSI didn't even break above the 50 line for almost 1,100 days. We can see rejected, consolidated, and finally took off. Notice this is when Bitcoin is pushing into an all-time high price. This thing skyrocketed past the 50 line, past the 70 line, and the RSI on the monthly approached 95, 96. So Telcoin is an example of an asset with a small market cap at the time having that crazy potential when the momentum runs. And the last one we'll do is the HBAR price chart. Notice last cycle crossing the 50 line back into bullish territory. Bitcoin is pushing into an all-time high at this time. We rocket into overbought. Looking at today, we're starting to curl back up. We saw HBAR have a nice few months of a bit of a retracement, but we're still below the 50 line, currently around, we'll say, 48. And per history, for Bitcoin, even HBAR right here, every time we have broken into a high above 70, HBAR has gone and created another all-time high price. So we'll see what the future holds for HBAR. This is a high conviction play. I think they're going to be here over the coming years. Some people don't like it because of the large supply, but its network, its infrastructure, their partners, their applications are some of the largest in the space. So what do you think after regulatory clarity, when the floodgates can open for actual enterprise adoption and global utility, where can the HBAR price chart go? And this is all stuff I've been talking about for a while now. This is November 5th for Avalanche or AVAX. We can see that large weekly fair value gap up here at $36 to $52. AVAX on November 5th right here was at $12. We had the 50 line mapped with an alert. Looking at AVAX today, we crossed the 50 line and just drew this mega impulse up to the open fair value gap right there, over 300%. Looking at the monthly time frame, we can also see we crossed the 50 line and we are running. And we can see Avalanche is also approaching the weekly pivot that is right within the open fair value gap. And all I want for 2024 is to see a variety of other assets in this space follow suit for a nice strong recovery. So big picture, for any long-term holders in this space, we're just focusing on the monthly and the weekly RSI. I think it's always interesting and important to know where it's at just to keep expectations in place. Just like we saw AVAX almost go into oversold right around 30 before getting the big impulse into overbought. Of course, if you're a day trader or an intraday trader looking on the daily, the 4-hour, and much smaller time frames, that's super important. But for long-term holdings that can often have the highest returns that we see in crypto, it's important to pay attention to the higher time frames, focusing on the big picture, the macro, the monthly and the weekly time frame. We'll cut this video short today because I know very few people are going to watch a 20-minute long video, so stay tuned for the next one. We're going to dive into the biggest crypto developments that we've seen, including the ledger hack and how to protect yourself. And last but not least, we have iTrustCapital linked in the top of this YouTube video description and also in my link tree. I've been using iTrustCapital since January of 2020, so coming up on 4 years now with a Roth IRA for tax-free trading and investing. If you don't like retirement accounts or 401ks or Roth IRAs, I get it, but I think it's a huge fit for me for having that advantage in long-term holdings and enterprise-grade cold storage. You can set conditional transactions, so as the prices reach your target, you are directly selling into the US dollar. And friendly reminder, this platform is free. They were last valued at over $1 billion. There's no management fees, no startup fees, no hidden bills that you're going to get every year. Just a 1% transaction fee if you trade, just like Coinbase, except with Coinbase, you are not getting any tax benefits. And anybody that uses the link in the video description to create a free account in iTrustCapital will get a $100 funding reward. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.